Welcome to the video on segmentation, in other words, market segmentation, and it is a part of the marketing strategy. Here we will address questions such as what is segmentation, why segmenting, what are the benefits of segmentations, what are the limitations, risks, or disadvantages of segmentations, and what are the actual examples of segmentation to help us understand better this important topic, which is a part of marketing strategy. Just a reminder, how does the segmentation fit the overall marketing planning process? So you can see it sits roughly here and addresses the part of marketing objectives and strategy. It is an important part of marketing strategy. So what is market segmentation? Well, it addresses the fundamental question, which sounds quite simple. What customers can we serve? Okay? And buyers in any market differ in their needs, wants, resources, locations, buying attitudes, buying practices, and so forth. So through market segmentation, companies divide large heterogeneous markets into smaller segments that can be reached more efficiently and effectively with products that match their unique needs. So what is the point of segmentation? Well, companies are segmenting because they believe that by having a better understanding of the segments, we can design or we can tailor the messages to attract them better, right? For example, if I'm designing a medicine or supplements and I have identified the target market that feel low on energy most of the time, I might use similar wording in my communications to appeal better to those specific customers. So basically, by really understanding customers' their needs, wants, and desires, you can create better marketing communications campaigns to address those specific needs, wants, and desires. Now let's talk about market segmentation variables. Well, there is no single way to segment a market, and a marketeer will always have to try different segmentation variables alone and in combination to find the best way to view the market structure. Now you can see on the screen I have presented four classic or popular segmentation variables. So four categories: geographic, demographic, behavioral, and psychographic. Which one do you think is the most common one? Well, you can pause me for a moment and continue listening. In practice, the most common one is demographic segmentation. And I will address in a moment why. However, the other question is, which one is the most useful segmentation? And the most useful segmentation, again, you can pause me for a moment, continue listening. The answer is behavioral. And I will address this as well in a minute. So, let's start with geographic segmentation. It calls for dividing a market into different geographic units, for example, nations, states, regions, counties, cities, and even neighborhoods. Many companies today are localizing the products and promotion to fit the needs of individual regions, cities, and even neighborhoods. For example, Tesco stores in the UK near big universities would often have large displays featuring bare and frozen pizzas, while those in residential areas would not. So this is to show that we try to cater better to the individual needs of people around that area. Demographic segmentation divides the market into segments based on age, gender, family size, income, occupation, and so forth. They are the most popular basis for segmenting customer groups. One reason is that customer needs, wants, and usage rates often vary closely with demographic variables. And another reason is that demographic variables are simply easier to measure than most other types of variables. We can just simply get this data or purchase this data. Now, the other one is called behavioral segmentation. It divides buyers into segments based on the knowledge, attitudes, uses, or responses to a product. And many marketers believe that behavioral variables are the best starting point for building market segments because we are creatures of habit, and if you understand consumer behavior, you can really understand a great deal about them. And you also have psychographic segmentation, which divides buyers into different segments based on social class, lifestyle, or personality characteristics. People in the same demographic group can have very different psychographic characteristics. Now, I'd like to make a point about using multiple segmentation bases. Marketeers would rarely limit their segmentation analysis to just one or few variables. Rather, they often use multiple bases in an effort to identify smaller, better defined target groups. For example, a bank may not only identify a group of wealthy retired adults, but also within that group distinguish several segments based on their income, assets, savings, risk preferences, housing, lifestyle choices, and so forth. Several business information services such as Nielsen TNS, JFK, and many more provide multivariable segmentation systems that allow to merge geographic, demographic, lifestyle, behavioral data to help companies segment the markets down even to the postal codes. A few requirements, in other words, rules for effective segmentation. So, number one, it has to be measurable. You should be able to measure the size, purchasing power, and profiles of the segments. For example, certain segmentation variables are really difficult to measure. Around 10% of the world's population is believed to be left-handed. This group is larger than many countries around the world, yet few products are targeted towards this left-handed segment. And the major problem with this is that it's hard to identify and measure. There is no adequate data on this. How do you know whether a person is right-handed or left-handed? Another requirement is make it accessible. The market segments can be effectively reached and served. Suppose a fragrance company finds that heavy users of their products are single men and women who stay out late and socialize a lot. Well, unless this group lives or shops at certain places and is exposed to certain media, their members will be difficult to reach. Another requirement is for it to be substantial. The market segments are large or profitable enough to serve. A segment should be the largest possible homogeneous group worth pursuing with a tailored marketing program. For example, you don't want to design cars specifically for people whose height is greater than 2 meters and 15 centimeters, if there aren't very many people like that. Another requirement for effective segmentation is differentiable. So the segments are conceptually distinguishable and respond differently to different marketing mix elements and programs. If men and women respond similarly to marketing efforts for soft drinks, they do not constitute separate segments. And finally, it needs to be actionable. They must be actionable. Although one, for example, small airline identified 7 market segments, its staff was too small to develop separate marketing programs for each segment. So what is the point here in market segmentation? So you need to be able to action this. Thanks for watching. If you like the content, please click the button like and subscribe so you can access all the videos from me as they are released. Thank you.